DJI dropped a teaser for an event on May 10th, and there is pretty much no doubt that this will be the product announcement for the hotly anticipated and widely leaked Mini 3 Pro. Now, rather than blabbing on about what you probably already know, I'm just going to talk about 3 features that I am totally stoked about, and if you stick around to the bitter end, I will tell you if I'm going to upgrade. There is a lot to talk about, so let's get into it. Now, being a photographer, camera performance is always at the top of my list, and it looks like the Mini 3 Pro is going to have an amazing camera system. Make no mistake, this is a massive upgrade from the DJI Mini 2. The Mini 3 Pro's camera sensor gets upgraded to a 1/1.3 inch sensor, which is just over 3/4 of an inch, and a whopping 79% increase in size over the Mini 2's sensor. Wow. Sensor size is super important because larger sensors typically mean larger light gathering pixels, and that rings true for the Mini 3 Pro. The pixels on its sensor measure in at 2.4 microns, which is the same size as the ones on the Air 2S. A larger sensor with larger pixels typically translates into better low light performance and higher dynamic range, and both of those would be welcome improvements. Now, the interesting thing here is the Air 2S also has 2.4 micron size pixels, but it sports a 1-inch sensor with an effective resolution of 20 megapixels. The Mini 3 Pro, however, has a 3/4 of an inch sensor with the same pixel size, yet it is supposedly able to create 48 megapixel raw photos. Without more information, it's difficult to know what exactly the mechanism is here, so I'm anxious to dive into the details once the Mini 3 Pro is officially released. Really though, it's not about megapixels, it's about the size of those pixels. With a pixel size the same as the Air 2S, I would expect the picture and video quality of the Mini 3 Pro to be just as good as its larger sibling. On top of the sensor upgrade, the Mini 3 Pro's lens also got a spec bump from f2.8 to f1.7. Now, that whole F number thing is fairly confusing, but simply put, the smaller the F number, the larger lens opening or aperture, and that ultimately means more light passing through the lens to the sensor. If my math is correct, the Mini 3 Pro's f1.7 aperture lens allows almost 3 times more light to hit the sensor than the Mini 2, so this should be a very good camera for low light photos and video. But it doesn't stop there. The CMOS sensor also has dual native ISO. Now, without getting in too deep here, ISO is basically like turning up the gain on the sensor signal to make it appear more sensitive to light. But as you probably know, the higher you crank up the ISO, the more noise you get in your images. Dual native ISO, on the other hand, adds an additional amplifier to boost the sensor's signal, while at the same time trying to keep that unwanted noise to a minimum. It's a little buzzwordy, but I'm sure you get the idea. It's all about producing better quality low light results. Bottom line here, the camera system gets a huge upgrade from the Mini 2, and I would expect the Mini 3 Pro to produce excellent picture and video quality with very good low light capability. Based on the comments and questions I've received since the original Mini's release, I would be willing to bet that obstacle avoidance and subsequently active track would be a top 3 feature request for many Mini flyers. For me personally, it's been on my list since I first started flying the Mini. Up to now though, all the Mini drones only had a single downward facing vision sensor. The Mini 3 Pro, however, adds full obstacle detection in 3 directions: forward, backward, and downward. This is really great news because I find when I'm concentrating on getting the shot, it can be easy to miss hard to see obstacles in my environment. My flying style brings me up close to things, and it's a bit stressful trying to focus on getting the shot while tracking potential hazards. Knowing that the drone is actively working on my behalf to avoid collisions takes away some of that worry, leaving me more time to focus on my creativity. Now, along with the extra hardware comes the Advanced Pilot Assistance System, which unlocks all the amazing focus track features like Spotlight, Active Track, Point of Interest, and Master Shots. All these features are great tools that allow any pilot to capture amazing cinematic shots with a simple tap. So yeah, this is all great stuff. Improved safety and easier, more cinematic shots. I'm just so pumped that DJI squeezed all this technology in a sub 250 gram package. I feel like one of the biggest surprises with the Mini 3 Pro, and something I am personally looking forward to, is the all new remote with built-in display. Since my Spark days, I have never really cared much for any of the DJI remotes with the clamps on the bottom. I've always found them way too fiddly, and it's just too slow and cumbersome getting your phone in and out of the remote. The Mini 2's controller definitely improved the experience with longer battery life and better ergonomics, but it still required your phone, and that whole process can be a bit of a nuisance for many reasons. DJI's RC Pro solved most of the fiddly remote issues, but it's quite expensive and it doesn't work with all DJI drones. With the Mini 3 Pro's all-new remote, I think we're getting the best of both worlds, the convenience and simplicity of a remote with a built-in screen at a much more reasonable price point. On the flip side though, DJI is also selling a bare Mini 3 Pro without a remote. So for folks who already have a Mini 2 or a compatible DJI remote, you don't have to spend the extra dollars on something you don't need. I am definitely stoked for the all-new remote, but I also think it's great that DJI is acknowledging that some customers may have more than one drone and don't want or need redundant controllers. Well, that's my top 3 guys, but honestly, I could have listed 10 or more features because there is just so much new stuff to talk about with the Mini 3 Pro. But as you could probably guess, for me, it's all about the camera, and this drone, I believe, is going to be an absolute stunner. If everything we know so far turns out to be accurate, this drone is really going to blow people away, and it will definitely be a top seller for DJI. Which of course begs the question, will I be upgrading to the Mini 3 Pro? Well, that answer is yes, absolutely, I'm going to upgrade. Really, this is the drone I've been longing for since moving up from my Spark to the first Mini. For me, it's the perfect combination of picture and video quality and pro level features in an ultra portable sub 250 gram package. This is the drone I have been waiting for. And as for which package I would get, I'm definitely leaning really hard towards the all-new remote with built-in display, but I'm gonna wait until the product is officially released to make my final decision. Regardless of what package I get though, I will definitely be adding the Fly More combo and quite likely the higher capacity battery as well, even though it'll push the Mini 3 over 250 grams. And that's it for this one, guys. Please let me know in the comments if you'll be picking up a Mini 3 Pro, and let me know what features are most important to you. And as always, thanks so much for watching. I would totally appreciate a thumbs up if you found value in this video. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Yet it is supposedly able, I'm Joey Tribbiani, whatever.